The night she was rejected, the moon turned red, not in anger, but in mourning. They called her Barren, Wolfless, useless. But what they didn't know was that they had just cast out the last living blood of the Lycans, the one destined to bring every alpha to their knees. Stay with me, because what happens after her rejection will make you question everything you know about fate, love, and power. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below if you believe no rejection can stop destiny. The great hall of the Silver Moon Pack glittered with gold and arrogance. Banners of black and silver hung from the walls, and wolves bowed before their alpha king. Lyra stood at the center, barefoot, pale, shaking. Her golden brown eyes glistened with fear as Kale, her mate and king, stared down at her from the throne. The crowd's whispers were cruel. She's still wolfless after 2 years. And Barren, what a curse for an Alpha Luna. Kale's voice was cold, as if reading a death sentence. Lyra of Crescent Pack, you have failed to bear a child, failed to shift, failed to serve the pack. Your presence shames me and the moon. Lyra's throat trembled. Kyle, my king, I don't know why. Oh, enough, he snapped. Behind him stood another woman, the beta's daughter, smug and beautiful. The crowd noticed. Lyra's voice broke. Is there another? Kyle's jaw clenched. There is someone worthy. I, Kale of Silver Moon, reject you as my mate. The words tore through her chest. A silver light cracked inside her heart, the bond snapping. Her knees hit marble. A scream escaped her, not just pain, but something ancient breaking free. Her tears glowed faintly under the red-tinted moon above. No one noticed, except the shadows outside the hall. Something old had awakened. 3 nights later, she was thrown out of the territory. No wolf, no home, no mate. Her thin cloak clung to her in the freezing wind. She walked until her feet bled, whispering to the moon, "Why was I born like this?" The forest around her whispered back. A soft, melodic voice floated on the wind. "Child of the moon blood, why do you weep?" Lyra froze. "Who's there?" From the mist stepped a tall man clad in black armor, silver hair glinting like ice, his eyes molten gold. "I am General Aiden of the Lycan Guard," he said, kneeling, "and you are not what you think you are." Lyra shook her head. "I'm nothing, Barren, wolfless." He studied her, then touched his palm to her wrist. A silver mark flared beneath her skin. "Hidden, not lost," he whispered. "Your power was sealed by the goddess herself to keep you safe." Safe from what? From the night your parents were murdered. They were Lycan royals. You are their heir. The forest seemed to bow. Lyra's breath caught. "No, I was born in the Crescent Pack. You were placed there, hidden, so no one could find you until the time was right. The spell broke the moment you were rejected." Behind her, the stream shimmered. When she looked into it, she saw her reflection and glowing veins of silver running under her skin. The Lycan air had awakened. Days turned to weeks in the mountain stronghold of the Lycans. Aiden trained her relentlessly. Sword, speed, focus. Every night she dreamed of Kale's voice calling her Barren, and every morning that pain turned into strength. When she tried to shift, it hurt. Fire under her skin, bones cracking, until she screamed to the sky, "If I'm cursed, then let me burn." The clouds trembled. Lightning struck the ground before her, and when the smoke cleared, a colossal wolf stood there, silver-white fur shimmering with light. Her wolf, Nira, the goddess wolf, howled. The sound shook the valley. For the first time, Lyra felt alive. Aiden bowed his head. The prophecy was true. The moonblood has risen. Far away in his castle, Kale jolted from his sleep. A pain like fire raced across his chest. The mate bond he thought severed, burning again. He whispered into the night, "Lyra, what are you?" Months later, the kingdoms were at war. Rogues, rebels, and dark wolves attacked every border. Rumors spread of a Lycan queen who commanded storms and silver wolves. Kale's pack was losing ground. He called a war council, but when the doors opened, every warrior went silent. The woman who entered was radiant in silver armor, her crown forged from moonlight. Lyra. His heart stopped. Lyra, he breathed. She stood tall, eyes glowing faintly. Alpha call, she said, her tone colder than ice. You wanted help, you'll have it. But remember, you rejected me. He fell to his knees. I was blind. I believed lies. I thought you were Barren. Barren? She cut in, her aura flaring. My womb carries the power of generations. My blood can awaken entire packs. Barren? The windows trembled from her power. Kyle bowed lower. Forgive me. Forgiveness, she said softly, is not for you. It's for me. She turned away. Rise, Alpha. I didn't come for revenge. I came to save your people. The council bowed to her. Kyle watched her go, realizing he hadn't rejected a Luna. He'd rejected a queen. That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. A soft glow pulsed beneath her palm, a warmth spreading through her body. In the reflection of the moonlight, she saw a faint silver light in her belly. Aiden entered quietly. You've been marked by the goddess. Lyra whispered. You mean, I'm... Yes, with child. Tears fell down her cheeks. After everything they said, I was never barren. The goddess waited for your awakening, Aiden said. This child is the bridge between wolves and Lycans. Lyra smiled through her tears, a child born of rejection, but destined for unity. Far away, Kyle felt it again, the bond burning through his chest. He fell to his knees. She's carrying my blood, my child. He cried into his hands, Moon, forgive me. Weeks later, Lyra walked alone beneath the moon temple. Silver flames lit the altar. The goddess appeared as a woman in white. My child, she spoke, you were never barren. I sealed your womb until your heart learned strength. Only through rejection could your true power awaken. Lyra bowed. Then my pain was a test. A path, the goddess replied. Your mate's cruelty was fate in disguise. Now go, rule both wolf and Lycan. Your child will unite them. Lyra rose, eyes glowing silver. I will honor your will. The mark of the moon appeared on her forehead, a crescent of light. From that night on, her people called her the Moonblood Queen. War erupted between rogue packs and the Lycan kingdom. Lyra stood at the front lines, armor gleaming, her wolf towering beside her. When Kale's pack was cornered, she stepped through the smoke. Her voice boomed through the battlefield. Lay down your weapons, no blood will be spilled under the moon I serve. The rogues obeyed. Kale watched in awe as the woman he rejected bent an army with a whisper. After the battle, he approached her tent. Lyra, please let me atone. I'll spend my life earning your forgiveness. She looked at him, eyes soft yet strong. Kale, forgiveness isn't what you should seek, growth is. He fell to his knees again. I'll never stop loving you. I know, she said quietly, but you'll have to love me from afar, because the moon chose a queen, not a mate who needs saving. She turned away, her silver cloak fluttering like starlight. And for the first time, Kale realized what true power looked like. Not fury, not revenge, but a woman who had found herself. It had been 3 moons since the war ended. Peace filled the Lycan lands, but Lyra's nights were restless. Her child, the child of the moon, kicked with divine strength, glowing faintly beneath her skin. Every time she touched her belly, the light pulsed like a heartbeat from the goddess herself. But that peace was short-lived. A messenger arrived at dawn, bloodied, trembling. My queen, he gasped, the Alpha Kingdom burns. The rogues, they bear strange marks. Their eyes are black, empty. They are not of this world. Lyra rose from her throne, her silver aura sparking with fury. Gather the council, no one touches my borders without my command. But as the messenger left, another scent reached her, familiar. She turned sharply. From the shadows of the doorway stepped Alpha Kale. He looked older, weary. His once cold eyes now carried guilt heavy as chains. "Your Majesty," he said softly, bowing, "I come not as an alpha, but as a servant seeking forgiveness." The room went silent. Lyra's voice didn't tremble. "You have no right to speak in my hall." "I know," Kyle said, lowering his head, "but I come with truth. The darkness rising, it was born from my pack, from what I let in when I cast you out." Later that night, under the silver torches of her war chamber, Kale revealed everything. A cult of dark wolves had risen after Lyra's exile, followers of an ancient power called the Hollow Fang. They fed on rejection, turning broken bonds into strength. "They came to me after I rejected you," Kale confessed. "They promised power. I was desperate to protect the pack, blind to what I invited." Lyra's jaw tightened. "You let darkness through your gates while calling me Barren." "I know," he whispered, "and it cost me everything." Aiden, her general, drew his sword. "Your Majesty, we should execute him." But Lyra raised a hand. "No, let him live. A man who carries guilt heavier than his own throne deserves to see what real power looks like." She turned to Kale. "You will march beside me. Not as alpha, but as penance. If you fail me once, I'll let your soul answer to the goddess herself." Kyle bowed his head. "As you command, my queen." Days passed as Lyra's army gathered, wolves and Lycans united under her mark, but the tension between her and Kale was undeniable. During one night's patrol, Kale found her standing by the riverbank, her silver eyes reflecting the moon. "You never sleep," he said quietly. "I can't afford to," she replied. "Peace makes people forget what it costs to earn it." He stepped closer. "Lyra, I know my apology will never be enough, but I see you now. I always should have." She turned, eyes soft but guarded. "You saw me before, Kale. You just didn't like what you saw." "I was a coward," he admitted. "You deserved a king, you got a fool." Lyra's gaze lowered to her stomach. "And yet from that fool came life. Tell me, Kale, do you regret it?" He shook his head. "Never. I only regret not standing beside you when the world called you Barren." For the first time, Lyra didn't look away. Something fragile passed between them, not forgiveness, but remembrance. The next dawn, screams tore through the stronghold. The rogues had arrived, thousands, their eyes black and lifeless, their bodies moving like puppets under dark magic. A curse spread through the air, thick and burning. Wolves shifted mid-battle, then froze, their howls strangled as black veins crawled across their fur. Lyra rushed to the balcony, summoning her power. Her silver aura burst outward like lightning, breaking the first wave. But the magic hit her stomach, and she staggered. Kale caught her before she fell. "Lyra, the child?" She pushed him off. "Protect the temple. They want the heir." Aiden's voice roared from below. "The queen must retreat." But Lyra didn't move. Her eyes glowed like moons. "I am not just a queen. I am the weapon they fear." She raised her hands. Silver fire erupted from the ground, consuming the cursed wolves. The night sky lit like dawn. Kale shielded his face from the blinding light, and when it faded, hundreds of rogues lay dead, burned by the power of the moon blood. But Lyra fell to her knees, panting. Blood stained her lips. Kale caught her trembling hands. "You're bleeding." "I used too much," she gasped. "If I lose control again, the goddess will take me." He pressed his forehead against hers. "Then let me fight for you this time." After the battle, Lyra awoke in her chambers, surrounded by healing light. Kale sat beside her bed, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. "You stayed," she whispered. "I swore I would," he said, "and I meant it. She studied him quietly, the proud alpha who once broke her spirit now kneeling as her protector. When he took her hand, the mate mark between them, once severed, flickered faintly with silver light. The bond was returning. Lyra's heart raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. The goddess must want it, Kyle said softly. Maybe this time, not for dominance or pride, but for love. Lyra's lips trembled. And what if I can't love you again? Then I'll love you enough for both of us. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time, she didn't pull away. Outside, the moon glowed brighter, as if approving their fragile reconciliation. Weeks later, the child was born under the full moon. The palace shook with power. Thunder rolled, and the moon goddess herself appeared above the temple, blessing the newborn. The baby's eyes opened, one silver, one gold, the mark of both Wolf and Lycan. Kale stood beside Lyra, speechless. She's ours. Lyra smiled weakly. She's everyone's, a child born of rejection, forgiveness, and unity. The goddess's voice echoed softly. Her name shall be Aurelia, the light between worlds. But just as peace settled over the land, the ground trembled again. A shadow rose in the distance, massive, ancient, with crimson eyes. Aiden drew his sword. The Hollow Fang's true master. It's coming. Lyra looked to Kale, her eyes hardening. This time, we fight together. Kale nodded. Until the moon falls. The final battle began at dawn. Lyra led from the front, her silver flames illuminating the battlefield. Kyle fought beside her, his wolf unleashed, loyal and fierce. Together, they struck as one, Wolf and Lycan, bonded again by love and purpose. When the final blow landed, Lyra collapsed into Kale's arms, whispering, "Maybe the moon knew what she was doing after all." Kyle smiled through blood and tears. She always does. He lifted her hand and kissed the mark on her skin. "You were never barren, my queen. You were divine." The morning light broke through the clouds, bathing them both in gold. For the first time since her rejection, Lyra felt peace and love that no throne could destroy. 3 years had passed since the last battle. The kingdom glowed with peace, its towers wrapped in silver banners. In the royal garden, little Aurelia chased butterflies of light, not normal ones, but ones she created with her laughter. Every time she giggled, the flowers bloomed in seconds. Lyra watched from the balcony, her smile soft, but in her heart a quiet dread grew. That night, the goddess appeared again, not in light, but in shadow. "Lyra," the voice echoed, "your daughter's power grows too fast. The balance weakens. One cannot carry both blood and light without cost." Lyra's chest tightened. "She's a child." "She is more than that," the goddess warned. "And there is another, born in darkness, hidden at birth. The two must never meet." Lyra gasped. "Another?" But before she could ask, the vision shattered, leaving only cold wind and the sound of a distant howl. Far beyond the Lycan borders, deep in the cursed ruins, a boy with golden eyes fought through the night. He was only 3, yet his aura was dark and strong. An old priest whispered beside him, "Your mother tried to hide you, my lord, but fate does not forget its children." The boy's name was Orion, twin to Aurelia. Born of the same womb, but taken by dark wolves the night Lyra gave birth. As Aurelia brought life wherever she stepped, Orion brought decay. When he touched flowers, they turned black. When he cried, shadows gathered. The priest bowed before him. "You are the heir of the blood moon, destined to destroy the child of light." The child's eyes glowed crimson. "Then I will find her." Back in the Lycan palace, Aurelia's powers became impossible to hide. She healed soldiers with a touch, spoke to animals, and sometimes made the moon shine brighter just by smiling. Kale adored her, calling her my moonbeam, but Lyra couldn't forget the goddess's words. During one royal ceremony, Aurelia's glow suddenly dimmed. Her eyes turned pale silver, and her voice echoed with something ancient. He comes with the shadow of my blood. When I find him, the moon will bleed again." Then she collapsed. Kale rushed to her side. "Lyra, what's happening to her?" Lyra's hands trembled. "She's seeing visions. The war isn't over, it's returning, through our children." Weeks later, Kale led an army to the northern borders to face rogue attacks, but something was wrong. The rogues didn't fight like before. Their strength was unnatural, their eyes glowing with the same red as the child from Lyra's vision. Kale fought bravely, but the battle turned when one rogue spoke his name. "Our prince sends his greetings, Alpha King." Kale froze. "Prince?" The rogue smiled through blood. "The lost son of the Moon Queen, the one you'll soon call your doom." Kale's sword faltered. If Lyra had another child out there, the prophecy had already begun. When Kale returned wounded, Lyra used her powers to heal him, but as her hands glowed, a strange mark appeared on his chest, a red crescent facing downward. Lyra gasped. "That's the mark of the blood moon." Aiden, now High General, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the blood moon only marks those tied to dark prophecy. It appears when family is cursed." Lyra's hands trembled. "Then he's our blood." Kyle sat up slowly. "Lyra, tell me, did we have another?" Tears fell down her cheeks. "I don't know. The night Aurelia was born, there was chaos. Lightning, screams, smoke. I thought she was the only one." Kale gripped her hand. "If he's alive, we must find him before the darkness consumes him." Orion grew fast, too fast. At only 7 years, he commanded armies of cursed wolves. But sometimes he'd stop in the middle of battle and stare at the moon, whispering, "Why does it feel like she's crying?" He didn't know that every time he looked at the moon, Aurelia did too, miles away, both children feeling each other's pain. One night, the shadow priest brought him a mirror. "Look, my prince, this is your enemy." The reflection showed Aurelia, her smile warm, her eyes glowing silver. Orion tilted his head. "She looks like me." "Exactly," the priest hissed, "and that's why she must die." But deep inside, Orion didn't feel hate. He felt something else, longing, like half his soul was missing. Years passed. Aurelia was now 16, graceful, fierce, and kind. She trained daily with Aiden, learning to fight, to command, and to heal. But the dreams grew stronger. She saw a boy with golden eyes every night, standing in smoke, calling her name. One night, driven by the visions, she left the palace and crossed the silver forest. There, under a bleeding moon, she met him. They stared at each other, mirror images in light and shadow. "You're real," she whispered. "I've seen you in my dreams," he said softly. "Who are you?" "I'm Aurelia." He smiled faintly. "I'm Orion." For a heartbeat, the world stood still. Then the ground cracked and energy exploded around them. Their touch awakened the prophecy. The war of blood and light had begun. Back in the palace, Lyra awoke from a nightmare, screaming. Kale rushed to her side. "What is it?" "The twins have met," she cried. "The moon seal is breaking. The curse is awakening." Lightning struck the temple towers. The moon goddess's voice boomed from the heavens. "Two born of one womb, one of blood, one of light. When they meet, the sky shall fall and the realms shall divide. To save the world, one must die." Lyra collapsed to her knees. "No, not my children." Kyle's voice broke. There must be another way. But in the distance, the sky was already turning crimson. The twin bond awakened in full power. Aurelia's light erupted, healing forests, reviving wolves. Orion's darkness spread, raising the dead, binding shadows. The entire world trembled as their powers clashed for the first time. Lyra and Kale rode through storms to reach them, but by the time they arrived, half the valley was gone. Burned white on one side, blackened on the other. At the center stood their children, crying. Aurelia, "I don't want to hurt him." Orion, "I don't want to fight her." But the magic inside them didn't listen. It had been written long before they were born. The moon goddess appeared in the burning sky, her voice echoing across the realms. The cycle cannot continue. The war of blood and light must end. Only one heir can carry the crown of balance. Lyra screamed, "Then take me, not them." But the goddess's eyes were sorrowful. You were chosen to give birth to balance, not to bear it. The choice will be theirs. The goddess vanished, leaving a storm behind. Aurelia looked at Orion through tears. If one of us must fall, let it be me. Orion shook his head. Never. I was born in shadow. I'll be the one to end it. They reached for each other, but the sky cracked again and a blinding light separated them. The sky had turned red for 7 days. Wolves hid underground. The moon hung cracked like glass. Lyra stood at the edge of her balcony, the scent of ash and salt heavy in the air. Every night she heard her children's cries echo through the wind, one filled with light, the other with thunder. Kale approached quietly. "Our world is tearing apart." "I know," she whispered, "and the goddess expects me to choose between them." He took her trembling hand. "We'll find another way. We always do." But deep down, Lyra feared the truth. The only way to end the war was to give up everything, even herself. That night, Lyra went to the ancient moon temple. She knelt before the broken statue of the goddess. Her voice cracked. "You gave me life, power, and a purpose, but not this. Don't make me pick between my own blood." The air shimmered. The goddess appeared, not cruel, but sorrowful. "Your love is pure, Lyra, but love cannot stop fate. Two powers cannot rule the same sky. If neither falls, all will fall." Lyra's tears hit the marble floor. "Then take my power instead. Take my soul, my title, anything. Just let them live." The goddess's expression softened. "Would you truly surrender eternity for mortal children?" "Yes," Lyra whispered, "because love is eternal too." For the first time, the goddess looked away, and Lyra knew she had struck the heart of heaven. Aurelia and Orion faced each other again on the plains of Alaris. The moon above was split into two, one half silver, the other blood red. Wolves and Lycans stood on opposite sides, waiting. When the wind rose, the twins lifted their hands, light against shadow. Lyra rode through the center, her silver cloak trailing like mist. "Stop," her voice thundered. The armies froze. "My children," she cried, "you were not born to destroy each other. You were born to heal what the gods broke." Orion's eyes glowed. "Mother, it hurts. The darkness won't listen." Aurelia's voice trembled. "If I keep fighting, he'll die." Lyra stepped between them, her power flaring. "Then I will take it all." Kale galloped through the chaos, shouting her name. When he reached her, Lyra stood in a circle of light and fire, her body glowing from within. "What are you doing?" he yelled. "Ending it," she said calmly. "The curse feeds on balance. If I absorb both sides, the bond will break." "That will kill you." Lyra smiled sadly. "I was born to protect Kale. Let me finish what rejection began." He grabbed her wrist, desperate. "You can't leave me again." She pressed her forehead to his. "I never left. I just became who I was meant to be." Then she whispered, "Take care of them." Before he could stop her, she stepped into the beam of moonlight. Silver and red light wrapped around Lyra. Her scream echoed through the realms, not of pain, but release. The powers of her children surged into her body, colliding until the earth itself cracked. Wolves howled. The moon turned pure white. Lyra raised her arms, whispering, "Peace." A blinding flash swallowed everything. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. Aurelia and Orion lay unconscious, their powers gone, alive but ordinary. And Lyra was gone. Only her crown remained, glowing faintly in the dust. Kyle fell to his knees, sobbing. She did it. She saved them all. Days later, the kingdom mourned. The wolves built a silver monument in her honor, a statue of Lyra holding the crescent moon. Kyle stood before it every dawn, whispering the same words. You were never barren. You gave birth to a world. Aurelia and Orion knelt beside him, guilt heavy in their young hearts. Aurelia asked softly, Father, where did she go? Kale looked up at the moon. Where love never dies. The night sky shimmered, and for a heartbeat they swore they saw her silhouette in the stars, smiling. Months later, Aurelia began dreaming of her mother's voice again. When light meets blood in harmony, I shall return. One evening, as the sun and moon crossed paths, Aurelia felt warmth in her chest, and a silver-red mark appeared on her skin, the eclipse mark. She ran to Orion. He had the same mark. They looked at each other, eyes wide. She's coming back, Aurelia whispered. Orion nodded, but not as the queen we knew. Thunder rolled across the sky. The stars shifted, forming the image of a crowned wolf with wings. The prophecy wasn't over. It had only transformed. A mother's love defied the gods. Her sacrifice saved the realms. But when light and blood unite again, she will return, reborn as something beyond queen or Lycan. Subscribe, like, and comment Eclipse Air Rises if you believe true love never dies, not even in death.